This program and its contents are designed for information and educational purposes only. This program does not render medical advice or professional services and is not intended to be a substitute for professional care. The information provided here should not be used for the purposes of diagnosing or treating a medical or psychiatric condition. If you have or suspect you may have a health problem, consult your healthcare provider.
Hi, welcome to Positive Momentum TV. I'm Diane.
So,
Okay.
are you ready to answer a few questions?
Yeah, let's answer a few questions.
Okay. Question one that I have is, when people have offered or suggested things to you, you kind of talked about this a little earlier, what your experiences, how have you received those?
It depends on where I am, really. Where I am in the process. Even if I'm in the middle of an anxiety attack, I will file it away. Not consciously, but it's there. If it even evokes any anxiety or any shame, because anxiety doesn't come alone. It's a cartel. It has shame and fear and guilt and whatever, and it finds everything, every tool it can to use against you. So you need a full toolbox to use against it.
Perfect segue. Go
So
ahead.
some days I take it well, and other days, I'm immediately defensive, and I have to, again, remember to be a gracious host. I've invited these people in by saying something, so I accept what they say, and maybe my face shows, and I apologize ahead
and
of
we've
time.
gone through a little bit of that since last week to this week, is in the aspect of your first initial reaction was a little bit of anger, defensive.
Yes, I'm not perfect by any stretch.
No, but have you being aware of what you're doing, I think, gets you through the moment. And as you have learned recently, as far as the breathing, the 90 seconds, did you say?
90 seconds.
90 seconds. So each of those things has added to your toolbox. So,
I will say though, it's not always readily accessible.
right.
So, we are who we are. We're going to be reactionary, instead of responsive.
Yep.
So I'm working on being less reactive. But in the middle of an anxiety, I am pure emotion. I'm raw, pure emotion.
Right. So, part of that toolbox that you learned is the breathing part. And one of the things from my own experience is that the sooner I can remember to do breathing or kind of break the pattern, the better.
Right.
So between now and next week, are you going to try and do things different to break that pattern? Or are you going to use different tools? Or are you going to be using, or maybe I should ask, what tools do you feel like you're going to try and use?
I'm going to use every one of them I have.
Okay.
Every single tool I have accessible, can come up with, can think about. Somebody suggests, I'm going to try it. And if it doesn't work for this time, that doesn't mean it's not going to ever work.
Okay.
Because like I said, anxiety is a slick little sucker. It will come up with new little ways to kind of, gotcha, So I've got to come up with new little ways to go, no you don't.
True.
Or just for a second, kind of thing. Or got you back, whatever I have to do. And one of my biggest things is humor. It may not be the best, and kind of right, and little. Anyway, questionable, but it's how I cope. It's one of my coping. It's one of my tools in my toolbox.
Yes.
Breathing is a big thing. The biggest one is staying in the moment, because even while you're on that rocking Ferris wheel, you're okay right this moment. Quit worrying about what if. Yeah, okay, that's easier said than done. But you're got the death grip on the bar, going crap.
But it gets you through the moment.
Yes, it gets us through the moment, but it's that white knuckle thing that goes, I'm never getting on this sucker again. And that's where that imprint is. So we've got to kind of reprogram those imprints and go, okay, take the deep breath. I'm okay. Let's focus on the moment. Yeah, this is uncomfortable. It's unsettling. Is it dangerous? Well, if I stand up, it's going to be, but I'm not standing up.
Right.
You know, it's not rocking to the point where I'm going to flip over. I've got the death grip on the bar. It ain't going anywhere. You know, and just try to get off different view, different perspectives, whatever it takes that's not harmful to anyone, including yourself.
So do you feel like you had segments of successes from in recent
Can we save
events?
that for the next segment? Because
Sure.
one of the things we're going to do on the next segment is really show what some of the steps I've taken.
Okay.
And just as a short answer, from my own personal experience, I don't give me enough credit to say I
agree
was
with that.
successful. So other than that, we're going to save that for our, when we tie this anxiety thing up in a nice little bow before we move on to the aviation part. So
Okay.
you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, next question, fire away.
Fire away. I'm trying to think of what the next question is.
Well then, can I ask you one
Sure.
while you're thinking?
Go for it.
Okay, so you're having to see, endure, participate in all of this, and life still goes on. There's challenges outside of, of what's going on here. How are you managing your stresses, and how are you dealing with all of what's going on?
Well, just as much as what you're going through, I think the thing for me to remember is to do similar tools that you're using to get through either emotional parts or separate yourself from the, what you feel you got to do, you may not have to do.
Okay.
You may not need to own it. And I only have control over myself. So with that being said, I can't make you get on the plane.
Right.
I can't make a different situation happen. And I don't want to go into that. But each of those things, I have to learn how to not own what is not mine.
That's really wise, because it is difficult to not own it and not take it personally.
Oh, you can
because
easily do
it
it.
feels very personal.
Yeah.
You know, I've been called a flake before because somebody took what was going on very personal, and I understand the fact that if we can't count on someone, it's hard to make plans. So, yeah, I kind of own the flake thing, but I don't. I own it in the fact that, yes, I let you down, or let this person down, or another person down. I wasn't able to fulfill an agreement I made, verbal contract, whatever you want to call it. I've hurt people. People have been hurt by my inability to follow through due to the effect of, whatever my fear, anxiety, and it is a clinically diagnosed anxiety. I'm not hiding behind it. I am not defending it. I'm just stating I'm trying to accept what is and push myself beyond my limitations. I just bought a thing that says, accept what you cannot change, change what you cannot accept. And I'm at the point where, I am so frustrated with this anxiety, more so than everybody else, but I've lost friends, I've let down family, I've let you down, and we're a week away from traveling. And I'm on this roller coaster from hell, and I'm taking you with me. And I don't want to take you with me, but I want to know how you're handling knowing that there is a 50-50 chance right now. At this very moment, it's a little higher that I'm going to get on the plane, but that could change.
Yeah.
So let's just briefly, before we wrap up, that how are you dealing with that part of this whole thing as we get closer?
As we get closer, I feel that my own anxiety or stress or
Distress?
I don't know exactly how to
Discomfort?
label it. It's generally speaking, my own emotions
Okay.
are going on more of a roller coaster. There's more ups and downs than it being kind of fairly smooth, because it is getting close to the time of
Will
taking
she or won't
taking up.
she?
I don't think I feel that way.
Okay.
I don't think I feel that way, because I've accepted the fact that whether you get on the plane or not, I'm okay with it, because I don't want you to have any pressure.
Okay.
And in that aspect, I feel like I have been able to not own what you're going through. So it's helped me. It's not that I don't want you to go.
Right.
It's not that, it's just allowed me to cope with the changes or the ebbs and flows of what's going on.
And it's got to be frustrating and draining. I mean, I'm exhausted.
Sometimes.
And people have suggested, well, go on a flight, a pre-flight, just try going on a plane to go to here, go to there, whatever. And part of me is going, yeah, that's a great idea. I've had a couple scheduled, but due to medical reasons, they had to get canceled. We won't go there. But, it just wasn't meant to be. I don't like to fall back on that term, but we're going to call it. It wasn't meant to be. So we're a week away. I don't want to take what remaining energy I have, and trust me, this roller coaster it takes everything I have to be on it, and go, okay, do I want to spend that energy to get on a smaller plane or smaller trip where I could be reserving it to get on the bigger trip? And it's not that...
That's only a decision that you can make.
Well, and it's not that it's a cop-out. It truly is... I'm draining. I mean, there's times I can get this, and times I'm going, not a frickin' chance in heck, So it's being able to take and what energy I do have and focus it to, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. Not, okay, let's go to Chicago and see if how that experience was. Because if it's a bad one, it's over. If it's a good one, it may or may not... I just used up all my reserves, because I get to the point where it's like, I can't do this anymore. But anyway,
so part of that whole thing is the fact that
okay.
you're expending energy that you may not need to.
Right.
So
with that, we're going to wrap up this segment and get on to our final on anxiety, and wrap that up with a really nice little bow, and kind of ask some more questions and finish up with the anxiety part of this. So I know I'm repeating myself. Anxiety. Gotta love it. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you on our next episode.